Welcome to A Slice of Advice, my what is becoming weekly Instagram live. I know, I'm so organized. Weekly Instagram live where I get to chat to my friends and all the people about pricing. This is my favorite thing to talk about, so I figure why not talk about it with people who like to talk about it too. So if you are new to the Instagram live sessions that I do each week. Basically, I get on here and get to talk to quite a few cool people, to be honest. So today I'm going to be talking with Josh Ryan of I Make Things. So I love that, I Make Things. It feels sassy and I love it. But I'm really excited to be chatting to him today because he's actually someone that until yesterday I hadn't actually met in person. I had kind of talked a little bit online. We had chatted over Instagram about posts that resonated with both of us, things that we both kind of went, oh yeah, I feel that way too. So I'm really excited to be bringing him on to talk to everyone today.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Like sounding like a
There
godly
we go.
voice. Hey, there we go.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Just wrapped up work for the day, so
Nice. I'm just starting. Gotta
yeah,
love time zones.
yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm really excited to have you on. And I was just explaining, you and I had only kind of really properly met face to face around about this time yesterday,
Yeah.
which I was actually really surprised. Not that I thought it was going to be anything different, but like meeting peoples on the interwebs.
Yeah.
And you and I ended up talking for like half an hour, just blah.
Yeah. We basically did, I think, what we're about to do here, just yesterday to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we were a great audience too. I
Yeah.
really felt like we really participated well with
We
ourselves.
we learned a lot from ourselves.
Exactly. So, for those who don't know you, who have been living under a rock, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us who is Josh? Who is I
Sure.
Make Things?
I make things. Yeah, my name is Josh Ryan. I'm I make things on the internet, things with an A, because I am uh, born and raised in Texas, and that's how we pronounce the word things, as we say things.
Yep.
So I am an artist, illustrator, designer, just general maker of things. Uh, by day, I work as a director of creative at a small to mid-size-ish esports company, where we do tournament software, and I just kind of lead a design team there. And then in my own free time, I do illustrations and little products and just kind of whatever gets stuck in my head.
Nice. So, if you're a fan of Intro Flirted,
Yeah,
because Intro Flirted is how you and I first connected.
yeah,
So, if anyone on here watching is a fan of Intro Flirted, this is the master behind the mayhem, I would say.
yeah. So yeah, I'm probably most well known for my Intro Flirted project, which is like a collection of love notes for introverts that got turned into a couple of books.
Yes.
Um, and that was super fun. But yeah, like most of my projects are something kind of a mix between like goofy and serious stuff. Like I like to use humor to like
Lighten the
uh,
mood.
lighten the mood, or to like it's easier for people to connect with something, I think.
Mhm.
It's like if I just wrote like long emotional stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, Josh is so emo." But like if you make it like a joke and then put some emotion in there, people tend to connect with it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, oh God, that's so heavy what you've been talking about. And it's like, yeah, but do you like cheese? How great
Yeah.
is cheese?
It's like the equivalent of like when you ask somebody out, but then put like LOL at the end. Like,
Mm.
you want to go to the movies or like whatever? LOL.
Oh my God.
It wasn't serious unless you wanted it to be serious.
Oh, I was totally joking. But like, if you're not joking, then
Mm-hmm. That
nice.
basically that's my whole work vibe
I like that.
is that.
At least you know it. Like, it's that's awesome. So you said that you kind of have a, not even kind of, you actually have a full-time job that
Yeah.
is, I would say, reasonably normal. You're a bit of a normie when it comes to having a creative job, but
Yeah.
then you also have your, I guess, side hustle,
Yeah.
or you talk about this thing called free time. I've never heard of that. As a freelancer, I don't quite understand the concept. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a translation issue. I don't know. Uh, free time
Yeah.
to do your own personal projects as well as freelance projects, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think free time is for any designer, like whether you work for somebody else or work for yourself, like designers, I feel like just get tend to get worked like crazy hours, or people just don't respect our time that much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I work in-house at a place, so that usually has a little bit more regularity than your standard kind of design boutique job, or especially like an ad agency job. I started in a small studio, then moved to an ad agency, and then to a small studio, and now in-house. So I've kind of been everything but freelance is like the kind of the stuff I've done. And I kind of settled on in-house because I can do um, I can do something I'm good at, um,
And get money for
and get
it.
money for it, but the stakes aren't like it's not like working at like an ad agency or like a boutique studio where it's just like the pace is really crazy and you're getting tons and tons of stuff in. It's like a little bit more steady, so that affords me a little bit more regularity that I can have some free time to work on stuff on the side.
Which no, I think it's not even just free time. It's actually like mental capacity, and that you know we do often hear about burnout when it comes to freelancers and
Hmm.
creatives, and it's because there's such a demand to be 100% giving 100% in your job,
Yeah,
and then you get home and you're like, I am too tired to create. I am
yeah.
done.
That's what I forget who said it, but it was kind of like it can be helpful to get a job that's not in your industry, that's not in the creative thing that you do. So
And it
this,
isn't failure, by the way.
yeah, and it's like because like you have like your normal energy, just like your ability to do stuff, and then like your creative energy, and if you're draining all that creative energy during the day, like working on something super similar, then like you don't have it when you get home at night. And so I think with the job I work now, and like with my side stuff being more illustration and like physical products, and everything I do at my day job is like very digital. Um,
So there's a
it's
bit of a balance, a bit of a difference between the two.
Yeah, it's not quite pulling the same kind of creative energy, and it's kind of almost helpful because doing one kind of fuel like, oh, I can't wait to get home and work on like this stuff that I like to do. And then when you get imposter syndrome or whatever, or you get super stressed out doing this stuff, it's like, well, at least I get to go to work tomorrow and just kind of zone out and not have to think about this.
Yeah.
So it's like there doesn't have to be this like alignment of like the thing I'm most passionate about is the thing I do 40 hours a week, like 8 hours a day. It can be like design and art and stuff can just be like something you do on the side for fun, and
Yeah.
you can have like another job that supplements that.
Yeah. I think there was okay, if anyone knows this in the live can let me know. It was a famous inventor, philosopher, something like that, who used to wait tables, or like they would concentrate on like their own industry and studies and creating what they're creating, but they also like went and weighted tables so that it used a different part of the brain, and kind of
Yeah.
balanced it out. So yeah, I think that's really super important. But by creating, you've got your day job,
Yeah.
your stuff that you do so that you can get the money so that you can buy the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But then you've got like your freelance stuff that you take on, and it means that you can probably be a bit more discerning with like, I got my mac and cheese money. This
Yeah.
is for happiness. I'm only going to take it on if I like it. Do you find that that really influences what sort of projects that you take on?
I think so. I think for the most part, it's a it's a little bit of a balance. It's like I take on stuff either I like or stuff that pays well enough that they pay me to like it. So
Oh, that is such a good way of putting it. They pay me to like it.
yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
All I always say, like I always tell people to like uh, price like you hate it, or like price like imagine if it's like, even if it's like your dream client coming down from the mountain, like imagine that shitty client that like the project dragged on and on and on, because like any project has the potential to like scope creep or to go off the rails. It doesn't matter
Oh yeah.
how many times you've worked with that person or how big or established the client is. It's just like price like you hate it, price like that worst
Price
client.
like you don't want the job.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it hurts if you were going after something you liked and you didn't get it, but also if they really liked you, they would haggle it usually. It's like
Mm.
same with like a job. Like I always tell people, if you get like a job offer, always count like always whatever the salary they offer you, like counter it higher. 'Cause like worst case scenario, they say worst case scenario is like they say they pull the offer and then you would never have wanted to work for those people anyway. Like a best case scenario, they give you what you ask for, and like the middle scenario is like they negotiate. They tell you like, oh, we can't do that, but maybe in 6 months you can do that. But it's like if you don't ask for like you don't ask for more money, you'll never get more money.
Yeah,
And
100%. If you start here and then try to get up, it's going to
yeah,
be harder to push it up rather than going, well, this is what I believe and
yeah,
know that I am worth.
yeah,
Um, if you're not going to come to the party, let's find a way for you to meet me part way, but with the assurity that we both recognize that's what I'm worth. Like
yeah,
that's part of the negotiation, is not just going, oh, well, we think this. It's like, no, 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 we're both recognizing this, but we understand that budgets are budgets,
yeah,
which
exactly.
is sometimes a little bit hard. I know myself, not the last one, but the one before, sorry, no, the last full-time job that I had, I walked in there saying I was worth 75K, and they tried
Yeah,
to counter it with like knocking prices off.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I went, well, do you really think the best way for us to start a relationship is for you to devalue me?
hmm
Didn't really go there for much more than 6 months, but it was for very other reasons.
yeah,
But it's kind of like, in that moment, you have to establish yourself as valuable. You have to establish yourself as, this is what I am worth. This is what I can bring. And it isn't actually defined by them agreeing with it too.
yeah. And it's not like we're talking a lot about money, and we're gonna talk a lot about money, and it's like money's not the end all be all. It's like, of course, you can do things because you love them, and you can work for clients because you like the client, but you just shouldn't underprice yourself or undercut yourself because of the client, or because it's something you're passionate about. Um, like there are like reasons to price it to, like, if I'm doing a thing for like AT&T versus like somebody's hot dog stand, of course the value of what I'm bringing to their business is different. Like, so the intrinsic value of what I'm offering, like that's of course going to fluctuate, but
Yeah.
outside of that, it's like you should kind of advocate for yourself, and not to say that money is like everything, but like money affords you a lot of freedom to do different things, to do like your own things, or to be choosier with clients, like
Hmm.
pickier with clients, or to offer like services to like that small hot dog cart because you go there every day, and they couldn't afford you, but it's like, well, like I got this big paycheck from this bigger client, so now I can kind of scoot by on them for the month and help out this smaller person. So it's not so much that it's like the goal of design or the goal of your life or career or whatever should always be money. But in a capitalist society, it's like money is the language people speak,
Yep.
and
Sometimes you have to put on your capitalist cap.
you got to put it on and just price it high, and it's also like it's money is like the thing that businesses kind of respect,
Hmm.
and it's counterintuitive, but usually the people that pay you more kind of respect your input more, and the people who pay you less are the ones that kind of like try to armchair design you.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I find that also the ones that like the AT&Ts of the world, you're not dealing with just the person behind the cart selling the hot dogs.
Yeah,
You're dealing with three different uh, sections of the business to be able to do whatever it is. And they're probably going to be making more from what you create than what the hot dog dude's gonna like. He might increase his sales by 20%, but
yeah,
if AT&T increase their sales by 20%, that's a very different monetary figure.
yeah,
So being able to price yourself so that it is intrinsically linked to the value that you're bringing rather than the time that you're spending is kind
yeah,
of
exactly.
a try.
Yeah,
But I think every single project gives that opportunity to try.
yeah,
And it doesn't always work out,
yeah,
and that's okay because there is enough clients in the world that it's okay to not serve them all.
yeah. And it's like all of this, like everything that we're saying is always more easier in theory or in your head than it is when like the rubber meets the road.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's like, yeah, I think it's just kind of like it's like baseball or something. It's like you just get a lot of at bats, and you hope it starts trending. You know, you start trending upwards, and it's like sometimes you don't quite get there. It's like
Hmm.
sometimes you're close, but it's yeah, it's just kind of like have these principles and like think of these things as you price. But then also it's like there's just a lot of situational like stuff that you just learn by doing it a ton, and you
Yeah,
learn
it's
to
that muscle memory. It's
yeah,
that it's going to get easier each time you try, each time you do it, and you're going to get knocked back, and that means that you just try again.
yeah,
With a new client that's actually going to value you and value your
yeah,
worth. So talking about projects, because you are able to be a bit more picky, and we kind of touched on it a bit of like the way that you price. So how do you prefer to price the projects that you do take on, and why do you prefer to price in that way?
I usually try like first thing I always try to do is get a budget out of them. uh
Easier said than done sometimes.
Easier, it works maybe 1 out of 10 times. um but I think I've gotten better at kind of like preempting that conversation and like framing it in a way of like this is me helping you, which it really is. It's not me.
Yeah.
It's like it's us saving each other a lot of time because like either we're in the same area or we're not. Like we're not. And if we're not, then why waste either of our times? And if we're in the area, then I can like work with that. And it's rarely ever been somebody's given me a budget, and like the thing I quote them is like at their budget. I always try to like do go under the budget. But yeah, I try to price to what I think the value for the client is.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like ask for the budget first, and I try to quote within their budget, and then I try to within that quote with what I think the value of the work I'm doing brings to them. And so usually I kind of like look at what industry standards are for like the project, and then I just kind of do a guesstimation in my head of like, is this a big boy client? Is this like a little boy client? Like, if they didn't give me their budget, I kind of try to guess where their budget roughly would be. And then from there, um, I usually do like a three-level quote. Um, and it starts with like a bare bones, kind of a bottom of the barrel quote, kind of a mid-ground quote, and then like a high-end everything they could ever want quote, which is usually depending on where how close their budget was to being in the area, it'll be at their budget or like a little bit over it if they're really under. But within those three options, like the things that I change are usually like the number of like initial options that they see,
Mhm.
um, the
Revision.
number of revisions that they get, and then the biggest thing is like the rights that they get. So I usually do like because I design a lot of physical products myself. Usually it's people coming to me for physical products. Um, and so I usually base that on either like the amount, like, all right, you don't give me a budget, I'll ask you like how many of these shirts are you printing? And then I'll do like a guesstimation of how much I think that's worth to them.
Mhm.
And so it's like the lowest tier would be like if they say, "Oh, we think we're going to print like 500 shirts." Lowest tier is like, "All right, you get two options, like two revisions, and you can use it on 500 shirts." The middle one would be like you can use it on 2,000 shirts, or like shirts and like one other product, totaling up to 2,000 pieces, or you can use if it's like a clothing company, it's like you can use it for the fall season or like the next 6 months,
Mhm.
however many you sell. And then the final one would be like you get the rights to this artwork. You could put it on shirts. You
Whatever
can
you
put it,
want.
yeah, whatever you want to put it on. And that one's usually like big money. Like please, please, please. Like if one client goes for that a year, it's like a nice day when that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Usually people go middle. Most people go middle. Some people go bottom. It's just the budget's not there at all and they're trying to save. But then always on the back end, I'm like, you could, like when they get it, if they really like what happened, I'm always like, you can upgrade. Like we can always scale up this fee and like
Mhm.
split the difference of whatever it was.
And you can get that negotiation, like it doesn't have to be done on day dot. And
Yeah,
if you have designed something for them and it goes really well, making sure that you remind them that it's actually part of the discussion of, okay, if it goes really well, that's a good thing.
yeah,
That's what we're both aiming for.
yeah,
So if that does happen, let's go, okay, cool. It's worked. It's proven.
yeah,
Let's renegotiate based on the same situation that we were in when we started, but with the
yeah,
knowledge that we know that it's going to actually work. So, like,
yeah,
let's just redo the license for you. And licensing is something that I only kind of started learning a lot about this last couple of years
yeah,
because it wasn't something that as a designer I was like, oh, that's something I need to know.
yeah,
And I've done patterns and designs for clients in the past, and look back at them and gone, that was that was worth different because I didn't have a license for it. I didn't actually recognize that it's not just about creating the thing, it's where it goes, what it does, who it is created for.
yeah,
Um, and, I've had, not myself, but other friends of mine who they've done a design and they've sold it outright and it's done so well that the person has reprinted it 8 times,
yeah,
but nothing comes back to the designer because they
yeah,
did the selling of the outright.
yeah.
Um, and that's just, that's a mistake you only make once.
Yeah, it's like it's the reason it's like you see all these like actors that like their salary for a film will be like next to nothing, but they're like, I want like this much percent of the box office or like this much percent of merchandising. Like that's
Isn't there like a full Scarlett Johansson thing happening at the moment with Disney?
yeah, she's suing Disney because she gets a cut of the box office and
And they went straight to DVD or
yeah,
streaming.
they like released it simultaneously on streaming and in the box office, which is of course is going to impact the box office
Yeah.
stuff. So, but yeah, it's like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, do you not have enough money?" And it's like,
It's not about
Does
that.
Disney not have enough money? So
Yeah, it's not about the greediness of the person. It's about
yeah,
the value that it's brought and recognizing that that's kind of what needs to happen. And the same thing happens with freelance design, with
yeah,
creatives, with creating something that does well. You
yeah,
know, getting the client to recognize the value that you're bringing.
yeah,
And that can sometimes be a really hard conversation to have.
yeah. And it's like the thing you said about greed is great too. It's like it's not like asking for what you're worth or asking even for more than you think you're worth, like more than you're comfortable. It's like it's not being greedy to like ask for more money or to price things high. It's like we love like designers love what we do, and yes, it's very visual and fun, but it's also like it's a commodity. It's like it brings value to them,
Hmm.
and it's like at the end of the day, this is a business transaction. You have to like treat. It's like you just have to treat them like a business and have them treat you like a business. It's like I've had I've worked with some clients that were kind of like, oh, like we know you like people that I kind of know really well, or businesses that I frequent often, and they're like, I bring them a contract, and they're like, oh no, we know each other so well, and it's like, yeah, we know each other so well, but this is formalizing
Hmm.
like us treating each other
What if I
well.
do something bad to you? What
Yeah,
if I stuff
exactly.
up and
Yeah,
I end up just drawing a whole heap of phallic objects on something, and then
yeah,
you have to print it because
yeah,
you bought it from me? Like
yeah,
this is not just to protect you. This is to protect not just to protect me. It's to protect you as well.
yeah. It's like just you gotta like there's a really great book by Mike Montero called Design is a Job, and it's like it's fun to do. It's very visual, but it's like it's a job, and you gotta like
Hmm.
one, you gotta treat it like a job, like that it being a job works two ways, and that like you gotta approach it with professionalism, and like advocate for clients to treat you professionally, and treat them professionally, but also it's I also say it's like it's just a job, like when you're like freaking out about like I can't crack this thing or like so and so does much better logos than me or somebody's a better illustrator. It's like it's just a job, man. Like
Yeah.
it's just, like did the check clear? Was the client happy? Did it work? Like you can we can
Did it fulfill the thing that it was aiming to do?
yeah, I drew I wonder if this will show on camera. I need to post it. I posted it to my stories and people were like, put it on the feed. And it's like a
Yeah.
hierarchy of needs. Uh,
Yes, I remember you posting this the other day.
yeah, and it's like uh, the bottom level of the pyramid is like solving what the customers or the users want. Uh, the next level is like what the client wants, like ultimately what benefits the people that use their product or their business is what's best. But if you can make them happy, that's good too. And then like tippy or super middle is like meeting project goals, and I call this whole area like the success zone. And then on top of it is the ego zone, which is like if you like the result personally,
Awards.
if it impresses other designers, and then yeah, the teeny top at the top is winning awards. So it's like you really just have to hit this success zone, and then everything else is like
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
It's
the
just a
icing on
job.
top. It's the cherry. It's the stuff that goes on top that you don't necessarily and not to say that it's not something you aim for,
Yeah,
because it can sometimes feel really egotistical to have
yeah,
the aim to reach the top. But that comes with its own set of situation or outcomes. Like realistically, a lot of and I would say it's more so advertising agencies and larger companies, their aim is to reach that, not
yeah,
because of ego, but because of notoriety,
yeah,
which makes the clients that they're wanting to get stand up and listen.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between the design studio. This is our design studio based in here, or this is our award winning. Like
Hmm.
that duo of words can
Yeah.
sometimes be the
International,
yeah.
multidisciplinary award-winning studio.
Yeah, I did feel like doing one of those ones. Like, this is my multidisciplinary, award-winning studio
Yep.
based in Kensington, and then it just zooms out and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. And it's like the other thing is like you can't. It's like if you have success defined by things that are outside your control, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah,
Like
100%. Like, there's the vox pop. There's the if you're setting yourself up for if you're setting yourself up with it being the definer of success, being
mhm.
something out of your control, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's like the be all and end all for me.
Yeah, it's like dating or like a relationship. Like it's like if you make your own happiness dependent on whether or not you make somebody else like somebody else likes you, somebody else
You should be on The
approves of what you're
Bachelor.
doing. It's like you should not be on The Bachelor. I'm horrible at making a choice. I'd just be like, everyone's really great. You guys want to
Guys,
play?
can we just like hang out for a little bit longer? Who
Yeah,
wants to play a board game?
yeah,
Who's into Pandemic,
yeah.
ironically? Oh,
I brought
goodness.
I brought my Switch. We can play some Mario Kart. It's only
Oh,
four at a time.
I
That's
feel
how
like I
that's how I'll
spend
decide.
way too much time on the Switch playing Tetris. Like, it's gotten to the point where my partner won't play like Tetris with me anymore. Like, he'll
Hmm.
play 3 or 4 rounds and then be like, I don't like losing so continuously. Go away.
Yeah,
Terrible. So in our roundabout way, we're getting back to
yeah.
it. So what's the best lesson you've learned when it comes to pricing? Because you've been doing your own thing for how long now? And what's your best kind of lesson you've learned?
Um, I've kind of only been like seriously freelancing probably the last 3 or 4 years. Um, but I've always been kind of doing stuff on the side ever since like I got out of school. But I think the probably the two best things I learned is it's like price, like the thing I said about like price, like you hate it, price, like it's
Yeah.
the worst client. It's really helpful to have like a full-time job because like it's like how many naps am I gonna lose out doing the side thing? And it's like I would rather nap. Like how much
Oh,
would I?
nap exchange is a currency. I like that.
It's
I
like
like
how
that.
much would I pay to nap right now? Like I pay like $1,000 for a nap right now. So it's kind of like yeah, just kind of like pricing stuff like you hate it. Like don't think of the dream client. Like it's gonna be this client. It's gonna be this beautiful thing. It's this cool project. Think of like I'm gonna be drawing at my desk for this many hours. Like think of the practical things you're gonna do, and
Hmm.
how much like I don't like working. It's like I don't dream of labor type situation where it's like I
What's your
enjoy.
dream job? I do not
Yeah,
dream of labor.
yeah, exactly. It's like I enjoy what I do, but would I rather be on like a beach? Like, yeah, no duh. Uh,
It's so cold here at the moment. So like as soon as anyone talks about like warm weather or beaches, or like I
mm,
see a picture and there's sunshine in it, I'm like,
yeah. Oh, I can trade you. It's like I can't do Celsius, but it's outside. It is 92 degrees Fahrenheit.
okay, if anyone in the live wants to let me know how much 92 degrees Fahrenheit is in Celsius, and then just chuck it back in and do like 11 or 12 degrees Celsius
I feel like it's like
here.
30.
Oh, it's lovely. Where I where I grew up, Adelaide, 30 was like a normal
Mm,
spring summer day. Yeah,
I need to
that's
learn. We need to get the metric system over here.
yeah, yeah. If anyone wants to get that going, that'd be great.
We'll figure it out.
So
Uh,
do you find that you go back to projects that you've done afterwards and gone and just work out whether it was worth it, or you just kind of go, nah, it's done, let's go, let's go
Nah, it's
next.
like as soon as something's done, it's gone. That's like my website's horribly outdated because it's like I did the project and it's like, oh, I gotta like open it up and do mock-ups and like write about it and do a portfolio thing.
Take the photos and like do a reverse analysis and
Yeah. Like it's like I enjoy the stuff I do and I really like seeing it when it gets done, but also it's like, okay, it's done.
Mhm.
What can I do with that? 33 degrees according to Google.
Awesome. Belle, can you do the other way around? So what's 15, so 12 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? Is that right? Yeah, yeah.
So like
Belle,
40,
Olivia,
40
you're the
something.
best. I'm going to keep you forever. I actually
She
had
is,
Belinda
isn't she?
on the Slice of Advice a couple of weeks ago. She was great.
She was like a science teacher. So
Yes.
this is the person that we needed at this moment.
Thank you, Miss Sky.
But yeah, I don't really go like I don't like going back and looking at stuff. I just got comfortable with like reposting
Yeah,
old things in the feed.
it
Like,
takes some time to feel okay with that because you're like,
yeah,
okay, 53.6. Yeah, so it was
yeah.
in the 50s. Okay, there you go. So it's about 50 degrees here. I can science, but I can't math though. Belinda, I love you. I love it. It's so good. So, yeah, I think that we're all a little bit guilty of kind of going and leaving our portfolios to gather dust.
Yeah.
I know I am because I looked at it the other day and I'm like, I have not updated this in 3 years. I have done
Hmm.
a lot since then. Check my Instagram. But now even my Instagram doesn't have client work on it anymore because a big part of what I'm trying to do now is pivot into helping creatives price
Mm,
themselves better
yeah.
and run better businesses. So I can't even say, hey, clients, go there so you can pay me money.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. I will get my new VA on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that she'll be watching in the future. So help me, please. Thank you. Uh, that's my note taking. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. So we touched on it, intro flirted a little bit before. And so
Yeah.
you are one of the poster success children of Lauren Holmes' Passion to Pay. Lauren,
Yeah.
if you ever watch this, hi, we should be friends.
Hello.
So Intro Flirted was the result of a passion project. So,
Yeah.
and it's actually been published twice, which is
Yeah.
kind of huge.
Yeah.
Talk us through the process because I know that there'll be people who are interested on how that actually came to be because it seems like a big, scary thing to do.
Yeah. I think the running lesson of everything is just like it's just like a snowball effect of like it's just like running a design business. It's like, oh, I want to sell some stuff, and it's like you start that snowball, and it's like eventually it's like sales tax and incorporating, and it's just kind of like as you go, you pick up more and more small things. And the intro flirted project, I think, kind of mirrors that. It was like it started just as like an Instagram project. I took a class from Lauren Hom called Passion to Paid on how to do a passion project that would get you kind of like something that you like that would show off your skills and either help you get clients or help reach some goal, whatever if that goal is money or if that goal is something else, some other sort of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
The class kind of taught you that, and so mine was a series of love notes for introverts, and I did one a week for a whole year, so 52 weeks. I posted one every Friday. I think there was like maybe one or two Fridays that I didn't quite get there and it had to go on like a Saturday or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I did 52 of them. And then at the end of that, I had a pretty decent following on Instagram, like a couple thousand. And so I was like, oh, let me try to do a Kickstarter of them. So it's like the posts are just kind of like little on Instagram, they're just kind of little like love note looking things. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this would make a good like postcard books were like a big thing that were coming out at the time. So it's like they're books that are perforated and you can like mail the poster as a postcard. So I did a Kickstarter for that and it seemed to do pretty. I mean, it hit its goal. And I was kind of selling them. I was getting kind of to the end of the run that I did with them, like selling them at markets and stuff. and then I went to Letter West, which is like a lettering conference in Salt Lake
Yeah, I went to
City.
the retreat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I went there and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have an art market," and I was like, "Oh, let me see if I can get in this art market," and they let me in, and I was like selling it there, and I met my publisher there, and they're like, "Hey, I own a publishing company. This seems like the kind of thing that I would publish, or that we would publish." And I was like, "Would you take our card and like we'll reach out to you?" And from there, they reached out to me, and we republished the Kickstarter one with some like changes. Like it's much. The Kickstarter one is like the paper stock is like half the paper stock of like this one's super thick.
Nice.
But swapped out a few things and like changed a few things around and just overall made it better. And they republished that. And then I think the response on it was so good that even before it came out, they were like, "Hey, let's do a second one." Which I was like,
Oh.
this seems unprecedented. Uh,
Introverts are not known for going out and doing the thing. So
yeah,
if I'm reaching my target market, I must be finding them in their homes.
yeah, exactly. And so then we did the second one that just came out last year, kind of mid early pandemic, kind of in August of last year. The
Because
second,
that's how we define time now.
yeah, pandemic stage two of 20 so far.
Yeah, yeah. I really hope the next level has more power ups or at least some
Yeah,
kind of like intrinsic quest. So
yeah,
I would love a side quest right now. It'd be great. Just give me the rosebud code and it'll be fine. It'll be all good.
yeah.
Um, so that's awesome that you kind of got, the full form. And while we're on it, how can people access or buy?
You can get it from my website, which is imakethangs.com. That's thangs with an A. That's how we say it in Texas. Um, and I think like Barnes and Noble has them. If you just like Google Introflirted book, you'll find it somewhere. But try to support your local bookstore and or me. Preferably
Try and
your
support your
local,
local pink-haired
yeah,
fang maker.
preferably local bookstores. Like I make stuff because I like it, not that because I need like the money to do it. So it's like if you can get it at your bookstore and support local business, that's the way to go.
I love that. That's
Just
awesome.
don't buy it off Amazon. That's all I ask.
They don't need it.
They don't need it. We don't
They don't
need
need
another dong rocket in the space.
it. Dong rocket. Beautiful.
Hmm.
Poetic. So if you want more poetic pieces like Dong Rocket,
Dong
uh,
rocket. Help your local bookstore construct their own dong rocket.
goodness. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to touch on with you is that you and I actually really had a good conversation and connected over the piece that you put up a couple of weeks ago, which was "No is a complete sentence." And
Yeah.
it's something that I have kind of talked a little bit about as well. And it's saying no as a complete sentence being, I feel like sometimes when we're talking with clients, it'd be like, "No, I can't." And then you feel like you have to explain yourself. You feel like you have to give like 17 different reasons
Yeah.
and like a bar graph chart of the top 10 reasons and how much it's had as your
Yeah.
decision maker. Like I actually said to a client last week, "Sorry, I'm not the right designer for you," and left it.
Yeah.
And they came back and asked questions why. And sometimes that can actually feel really, I don't want to say rude, but it's like, these are all the reasons I hate you. And I'm saying no.
Yeah.
And it can feel like you're just taking shots at them, but it's not. It's just, no is a complete sentence is going to protect both of us because it's going to make it so that I can say what I need to say and you can just leave.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like, it's like design, especially like freelance or when you're like work your way up to like a creative director, art director. It's like Do I
Had
got
a
you?
phone call coming through. I am still here.
So yeah, it's like a lot of design in freelance and like when you get to like creative director, art director, like client facing roles is like it's a service job. It's like these people are your customers, and so there's a level of customer service that you have to do. It's like
Hmm.
if somebody came into a restaurant and was confused by the menu, you wouldn't just go like, "No, get out of here." So
We
the
serve tacos. That's
Yeah, exactly.
it.
They're like, "What's a taco?" And you're just like, "Get out!" Like,
You don't know what a taco is. If you don't know what it is, you don't deserve to dine here.
yeah, exactly. So it's like there's a level of like, all right, we need to help educate clients, and we need to be do that customer service role of like of having difficult conversations sometimes, but also
Hmm.
there's a level of like when the relationship's not working. Uh, in the restaurant analogy, if like you explain to them what a taco was, and they're like, "Well, I want a hamburger," and they just keep insisting for a hamburger, then you would be like, "No, get out." So
Hmm.
there's a level of just like you
We're
know,
not the right restaurant for you.
yeah, it's just like learning to find red flags, and it's just over time you learn how to communicate with people and how to read people better, and when to give like a hard no, like no, I can't do this. When it's like a no and an explanation, um, and then sometimes it's like I have a friend who does this a lot, which is really great. It's like a using like the improv style, yes, and to kind of like, yes, I hear what you're saying. Yes, I hear what you want, and we can do it this way. If
Hmm.
they keep asking for something, instead of just being like, no, that won't work. If there's a solution, or if you kind of understand where they're coming from, you're like, yes, that's a good idea, and how about we do it this way, or how about we tweak it this way,
Hmm.
um, which I think helps.
Establishing yourself back in as the professional who is the designer. Because I feel like a lot of clients letting go of the design decisions is really hard for them. And
Yeah,
so understanding that, you're helping them through something that's really hard.
and they're help like you both need each other. Like you can't design without knowing what their needs and wants are, and they can't get design without a designer. So it's like you
Mm.
both need like what's in each, like you need the knowledge from their head, they kind of need some of the knowledge from your head. And so I think the yes and approach, it's like I think when you hit people with a no, even if it's like a no, but we can do this kind of thing, I think once people hear a no, they kind of immediately get defensive. Or it's if you say like, yes, that's a good idea, and what if we did it this way?
Hmm.
Uh, it's the same, like you can pivot the same way as a no but and a yes and, but a yes and is like welcoming and making them feel included in the process, whereas like a no but is just kind of like, no, you're wrong. Let me tell you how this works. Uh,
Yep, completely understand that feeling. I actually many moons ago used to be part of an improv troupe.
mm, every designer
We
must
had
join one at some point.
Yeah, I we performed in fringe festivals, and literally people walked in for I think it was a 2 week season that they would just put a name, a place, and an
Hmm.
object in these boxes, and that was just the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first thing is yes, and welcome it in, and top it or build on it, or yes, and direct it where you're wanting it to go. And
Yeah.
I think that that's really important in the process of trying to work out how to best serve the client. Because a happy client isn't a more agreeable client when you're
Yeah.
actually able to say to them, yeah, I can understand that that's not an important thing to you, but I want to make sure that your selection of wine is consistent and looks beautiful and da 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 da. And so I understand that that's not a priority to you, but I would like to make it a priority to me.
Yeah. And it's like if you're going to see a doctor, like clients don't interact with designers every day. Like we do design every day. You can't expect them to know the thing that we do every day. So it's like going to the doctor where it's like we all hate doctors that like you have to Google stuff and like bring it to them and like what about this thing that this person's done? Like we all love a doctor that like sits there and like walks you through everything that's going on and
Hmm.
explains everything to you in detail. It's like that's kind of what we want, and so that's kind of our job as designers is to be that person that walks them through this process that they're unfamiliar with and makes them feel included and empowered in that process.
And
And
I
it's
think that recognizing if that's not something as a strong suit or not something that you want to do, it doesn't mean that you can't be a designer. Just
right.
go and work for someone else who's going to do that.
Yeah.
That's what account managers are for. That's what art directors are for. That's what client services are for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with going and working for someone else
Yeah.
because freelance isn't the be all and end all. It isn't the end game. It isn't like what everyone is going to want to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to talk to clients, if you don't want to have those conversations, that's fine. Just go find someone to work for to do that for you.
Or like you can be a solo freelancer and like you would hire an accountant. It's like of course you can hire like there's freelance project managers out there. You could
Yeah.
get on with an agent if that works for you. Like there's no rule that says like if you present yourself as a I am a solo freelancer that you have to do bookkeeping and taxes and all this stuff by yourself. Like you can go
Yep.
hire a
Don't do
professional for
that.
that.
I believe it's my area of ignorance, as my
Yeah.
coach puts it. She says that if there's something that you don't enjoy doing or you're really not great at,
Yeah.
mine is at the moment MailChimp funnels.
Yeah.
Not good at it. So finding someone who is. I also have another trick that like Jasmine will have the conversation with you, but it's Jasmine Designs who bills you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I need to have that secondary alter ego to be okay with the monetary
Yeah.
process. It's the only way I can.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, it does get a little bit kind of hard. And it's like it's about setting boundaries as well. Setting the boundary that you can say no, I
yeah.
guess.
And it's also like people people like to work with people they like, if that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if you're the best, if you're an asshole, like nobody's gonna want to work with you. So it's like and the opposite of that is if you're if you're very great at customer service and like helping educate clients and like making them feel included in the process and they really enjoy working with you, if the thing you create falls short of the ROI or whatever metric that they were looking for, um, they're more likely to still hire you again because you were enjoyable to work with. Like
And they
they,
can see that they can reframe whatever their ROI is based on what the
yeah.
capabilities are.
Or if you're when they bring up that thing, if you're educating them, you could be like, listen, like I think we can hit this. I think preempt that conversation of like I know the goal is here, but I think somewhere between here and here is I think our success zone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and kind of preempting that conversation so that when it comes back and like, oh, we made that change, we insisted you make that change even though you said like it wouldn't work out as well and ended up
Yeah,
working out as well. So maybe we'll trust you next time. So
maybe,
yeah,
potentially.
potentially. So it's like yeah, it's just like if you work with people and are good to work with, they're more inclined to work with you again, regardless of what the turnout was, as long as it didn't like you didn't take like a dump on the page or something.
Dumps on pages
Yeah.
and dong rockets.
Dong rockets.
This is definitely becoming the
Hmm.
brand. I love it. It's great. I actually have two more questions. One, I actually think I already know the answer, but it's if you could go back to younger Josh and tell him something about pricing, what would you say? I feel like I
Uh,
know what your answer is going to be.
I tell them that therapy is expensive and you're gonna need it. So price for that.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I love that. Price for your therapy needs. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Like, hey, you need to go to therapy. Also, it's gonna be expensive. Raise those prices. Uh, I yeah, I think knowing younger Josh, he wouldn't listen to me, but I could say just be more confident. I could say price like you hate it. I could say all these things, but until you actually do it, and like I can't. It's hard to like give people confidence with words. It's just kind of like you have to go do it, and the confidence builds. So I don't know if there's much I would say to him
You'd
except
just
for
be
that,
like,
like,
you're gonna work it out, buddy.
yeah, it's gonna figure yourself out. Just like keep at it.
Yeah, I like that. Hmm. And finally, you have been given a couple of dollars and have been placed in front of the chocolate bar aisle. What chocolate bar do you choose and why? Such disdain. I love it.
I'm
You're
a
like, oh no, decision. Ah.
I'm a gummy person.
Hey, I did not pick that. Okay.
Uh,
You can
yeah.
choose gummies. You're in the aisle.
Uh, I'm in my mid 30s, so I like bland, vaguely sugary gummy snacks, so like a Swedish fish or like Dots or Twizzlers, like something that's like sweet but not too sweet. I'd probably say Dots would be number one. In the
Gotta
chocolate,
admit, I don't know what dots are. I'm definitely going to be researching that afterwards.
they're like
Little
gumdrops, I think,
gummies.
little gumdrops.
Nice.
They're like dome-shaped little
I
gummy
think I know what
things.
you mean now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Are they your
Uh,
like go-to snacky thing?
yeah, that's kind of my go-to snacky thing. I think in the chocolate aisle, I would go with like Pocky if it was like a
Yeah.
fancy Japanese grocery store. And if it was like your standard American grocery store, probably like a, a Twix or a Kit Kat. I like a crunchy,
I love
chocolatey.
a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
I love a Kit Kat. Yeah, mine's Kit Kat, but I'm also secretly moonlighting as an 82-year-old woman. So I'm loving fruit and nut lately.
Mm.
Yeah, I said that to a friend of mine the other day. She's like, what? What do you mean? Do you need a pensioner card? Like that's an old do you like old gold as well? Like what's going
Or
on?
like a Werther's Original, or like those weird peppermints that don't have a brand. They just kind of show up when you turn
Yeah.
80.
Yeah, I'll hide them in my little pouch that's at the front of my walker. Just perfect. No
Yeah.
worries. Well, thank you so much for jumping on this slice of advice chat with me, Josh. I
Yeah, it was
really, really
fun.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it was cool.
So if anyone wants to grab a intro flirted book, as you've heard before, but would you like to repeat, where should they purchase from?
Sure, you can get them from imakethangs.com. That's thangs with an A instead of an I. Uh, I think Barnes and Noble has them. You can ask your local bookstore if they have them. Just don't buy them from Jeff Bezos.
And also, if you do enjoy the intro flirted, have you got a intro flirted Instagram separate from the I
Yep.
Make Things? Yeah,
Yep.
so highly recommend following both of those. And if you enjoy this pricing talk, I've been doing this every Wednesday for the last couple of weeks and will be for the next couple of weeks as well. We've got some really exciting guests on, so I hope you join us on a future Wednesday or Tuesday, wherever you are in the world. And thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk soon.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.